answer the grade 12 paper of May-June 2023, paper 2. So this is question 5.1 and we are given Eveline. So the comprehension there, or the extract, says, Miss Hill, don't you see these ladies are waiting? Look lively, Miss Hill, please. She would not cry many tears at leaving the stores, but in her new home in a distant unknown country, it would not be like that. Then she would be married, she, Eveline. People would treat her with respect then. She would not be treated as her mother had been. Even now, though she was over 19, she sometimes felt herself in danger of her father's violence. She knew it was that had given her the palpitations. When they were growing up, he had never gone for her like he used to go for Harry and Ernest because she was a girl, but latterly he had begun to threaten her and say what he would do to her only for her dead mother's sake, and now she had nobody to protect her. Ernest was dead, and Harry, who was in the church decorating business, was nearly always down somewhere in the country. Besides, the invariable squabble for money on Saturday nights had begun to weary her unspeakably. She always gave her entire wages, 7 shillings, and Harry always sent up what he could, but the trouble was to get any money from her father. He said she used to squander the money, that she had no head, that he wasn't going to give her his hard-earned money to throw about the streets, and much more, for he was usually fairly bad on a Saturday night. So let's go to the questions. We have question 5.1.1 and it says, choose a description from column B that matches the name in column A. So in column A we are given the name and column B it's the description, okay? So at A we are given Eveline. Well, Eveline, let's look for an answer that best suits her. So we have 5.1.1 at A. So in column B we are given A, he has worked on a few ships. B, used to shout her name in front of the people. C, a school friend of her father who fled to Melbourne. D, she is indecisive at the end and does not fulfill her desire to escape. And E, she suffers the abuse in the hands of her husband. The perfect statement for Eveline here would be D, she is indecisive at the end and does not fulfill her desire to escape. So we have B there, and B says Frank. Well, Frank has worked on a few ships. That is A. And then we have C. C is Miss Gavan. Well, Miss Gavan used to shout her name in front of people. That's B. And we have D. D says the priest. Well, the priest is a school friend of her father who fled to Melbourne. Okay, and now we go to 5.1.2. 5.1.2 says, why is the following statement false? It was the chores in the house that made her shiver with fear. It is false because it was her father's violence that gave her palpitations. Okay, and now we go to 5.1.3. It says, what does this extract reveal about the father's character? Substantiate your answer. Well, we can say he is abusive or he is violent. Now, why do we say this? We say this because he would go for Eveline's brothers, and then maybe you can also say he is stingy, and then you substantiate that by saying he did not contribute toward household expenses. And then you can say that he was quarrelsome, you can say that quarrels arose whenever money was in discussion. Okay, and then That is it. So let's go to 5.1.4. It says refer to line 2. And at A, it says, what tone would the speaker use in this line? Line 2 says, look lively, Miss Hill, please. So the tone that would be used here would be a harsh tone, or you can say a disrespectful, or you can say that it is a condescending, a dominant, or overbearing tone. And we go to B. B says, why would the speaker use this tone in the line? Well, this is because she wanted to make Eveline look less miserable, but friendly to customers. Or you can say that she wanted to make Eveline seem bad in front of customers. Okay, and now we go to 5.1.5. It says refer to lines 5 to 6. And at A, it says identify the figure of speech used in these lines. Okay, let's go to lines 5 and 6. Line 5 says she would not be it says then she would be married, she Eveline. People would treat her with respect then. She would not be treated as her mother had been, even now though she was over 19. Okay, that is it. And then 5 and 6 say identify the figure of speech used in these lines. The figure of speech is a simile. This is through the word use of s. Okay, and now we have B. B says, why would the speaker use this tone in this line? Okay, so there is a comparison. Oh, it says explain why the figure of speech is relevant in this extract. Okay, there is a comparison of life between Eveline and her mother. We can say that she did not expect or want to suffer the same abuse her mother did. Okay, now we go to 5.1.6. It says one of the themes in Eveline is women and society. Discuss this theme. Okay, so here we say the women standing in society was lower than that of men, and as a result men oppressed women as in the case with Eveline's father, being violent with her. Women in her society looked up to men for support and in Eveline's life, such men were hairy, who always contributed a share of money for groceries and Frank, who was to be Eveline's savior from her suffering. Okay, now let's go to 5.1.7. It says the protagonist in this story can be admired. Discuss your view. Okay, so the protagonist is the main character and is the one in which most of the happenings in the story are against, and the protagonist has to rise above the odds in the story. So the protagonist in this story is Eveline. So here we are to discuss whether or not she can be admired. So let's start with agreeing that yes, she can be admired. Now, why are we saying she can be admired? We can say, even though she was just over 19, she was playing finesse, the home keeping role that her mother played while she was alive. You can continue to say that she was earning a living outside her home, in addition to the chores she did at home. She was planning to break off from the constraints of her environment and start a new life. We can also say that she was forgiving. And she overlooked her father's bad streak and highlighting fun moments they had. As she was growing up. Or you can say, no, she cannot be admired. Now, why are we saying this? We say this because she allowed Miss Gavan and her father to take advantage of her. You can continue to say that she placed the entrance, she placed the interests of her family above her own. Choosing their happiness over her own. And now you can also say that she was indecisive, could not make up her mind about eloping with Frank. And lastly, you can say she lived in the past.